Thanksgiving came and gone. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We did skip last week, and I'm not apologizing for it. Okay? The Rakers needed time off, especially after some disappointing outcomes that week. But we're on a new, fresh week. A fresh start for some of us. For half the league, it was 7-7, right? No, not yet. We're going to be. Hold on a second.
I feel like it's a fresh start because I'm on to 2023, you know? On to newer and better things. Clean slate. My record 0-0.
He's given up and he's moving on.
No, I'm still going to play spoiler for someone. Don't worry.
No. Can you, forget to set your lineup one time this year next week?
I don't know. Is that week 13 or 14?
14, please. 14.
Okay, I'll try for one more week.
Dang it. So, yeah, we're here. We're live. We will be joined by a special guest later on, which is very exciting. And let's get the bottom three out of the way. Ken, Kestner, Noah, bye-bye. All right, moving on. 9. At 9, it's Bryn. Bryn takes a tumble from 8. And honestly, it's an uphill battle for a team that is pretty good. Had a good week last week. Just happened to play against the top-scoring team in the league. But, when you score 0 from Raheem Mostert and still put up 125, the squad's pretty good. The squad's pretty good. But tough matchups ahead. Bryn's probably going to miss playoffs for his first year in the league. What do you guys think?
I think it just kind of shows, to me, it's a missed opportunity. The roster, the starting roster is so good. Like you said, Luke, he put up that many points with getting a goose for Mostert, starting 2 tight ends. We talked about depth the entire year. You make some moves. You don't draft Tucker in the 3rd. This team is, I think it's in the playoffs, just straight up. So I think it's a missed opportunity, but, I think great first year for Bryn. I think if you can just take that and, get some depth on your roster and make some moves and don't draft a kicker in the 3rd, I think you make playoffs next year.
Yeah. I think the big thing here, too, is, the first year with, a very competitive fantasy league. I think Bryn won or got second in his family league last year, and it really turned him on to fantasy football, which is great. We have loved having him in the fold, but I think that there was kind of a wake-up call, holy crap, I can't just, vibe for a whole season. And
you can't meme the whole year.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Expect to win. It's funny, and we love it, but you also got to, make waiver claims and not have 2 kickers. I appreciate
maybe
the
not
idea.
start 2 tight ends.
Yeah, yeah, and then there are better dart throws to be thrown. What is?
I don't know.
This sucks. Oh, it
does.
It's terrible. Dreamworld Coke. Sorry, I'm getting a snack attack. I'm being snack attacked by my wife. It's really bad.
I have to Google that.
I'll drink it because you got it.
I've never
for
heard
me,
of that.
But
what does a dream taste like? Coca-Cola Dream World makes the most fascinating parts of our imagination rare with the dream flavor.
Here, wait.
Coca-Cola.
How do you
That sounds
show that?
awful. Blur the lines
Buyer
between possible
beware.
and impossible.
Run. Okay, there you go. Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
It's just like New Coke.
It's gross. It's
They're messing with
I
the
think
formula.
they're trying to go a berry route. This is a weird tangent. It's disgusting. Anyway, I got Liquid Death instead, which is a really good seltzer water. You guys should have.
Ooh.
It's very
It
delicious.
sounds hard. Is it hard?
It is not. It is not
Oh,
hard.
that's unfortunate.
It's just taste. Okay, anyway, sorry. Bryn, do better next year. Moving on. Mark at 8. Big drop.
Hey, before we move on,
Okay.
where are you drafting Bryn? If you're picking your division, I think that's a good question.
Yo. I mean, you asked if I win the division, which is a possibility, he's going to be in the conversation for 1 or 2. I mean, Santos has no draft capital, so
I was
he's
about
in
to
the
say
running.
Santos has 0 draft capital.
But his ability, we had him. I think at the start of the year, Santos was ranked 12th in our first rankings, and
He was.
he's here. So manager
That's true.
ability is off the charts.
Yeah, Santos is a good manager.
It's true.
See, I think Bryn has gotten better as the year's gone on. I understand. I think this outcome
He's
is kind
improved.
of a has occurred because of past mistakes. Like, he kind of buried himself in a hole that was too deep to climb out of. But I also...
Was it too deep? I don't know.
I mean, like, I guess, like, in hindsight, you could, like, shove chips on potential players, like, that have panned out, like Pacheco or Watson or these players, you know, like, that would have been vital pieces for a team in need of depth. But at the same time, they were unknowns. And if you want to roll with your double QB, double tight end, double, like, you know, like, having your base set defense and not risk, I can't fault you for it as much as it definitely was the wrong decision now. You know what I mean? Like, in the moment, it's kind of tough. I wouldn't have 2 kickers, but whatever.
I mean, you can't fault them for it, but you're going to lose.
True. But he drafted really well.
Oh, yeah, he drafted great.
He has a whole draft capital. He has nothing missing next year.
It's true.
He drafted very well. In fact, he had one of the best drafts in the league, I think. Like, if you look at,
Probably.
like...
Yeah, I agree. Because he drafted Etienne.
Yeah.
Etienne was on this roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he drafted very well. So, I think, you know, looking at it...
I mean, if it's not Brent Luke, who do you pick?
That's now we're in this conversation, right? Like, that's looking at the list.
Maybe this is too soon for the manager draft primer podcast.
No, this is kind of fun. Now we're here. Okay, so, like, if I number 1 overall pick, I get pick a manager that goes to my roster. It brings in the conversation. Part of me wants to pick Jacob because his first half of the year sucks every year. And then he
likes 12.
Like, he's a good manager. He fixes the roster, kind of, I guess. Like, he's been competitive several years, so it's not like he's not a competitive manager. He's always setting his lineup. But, like, you can kind of, like, get away with those first 4 or 5 games and, like, build a lead on him. And then, like, if you want a true wild card, I think that, like, Ken is in the conversation.
Yep.
Because I think Ken takes a while to develop his roster, too, and you can kind of, like, if he drafts well, which sometimes he does, but it's not always a hit. Like, Ken is very, very vast in his performance in the draft. So sometimes he has a good team, sometimes he doesn't. And not just over the 2 years, like the last 8 or 9 years, it's hot and cold. So if he gets a bad roster, you can kind of get away with getting a good lead on him. I mean, what do you guys think? I'm just talking names.
I think he's probably top 2, surely top 3. So,
I mean, no, you're sitting with the number 1 pick.
Interesting. Well, I'm not actually, but if I was,
I mean, as it stands,
listen,
Sam
I can tell you who
right.
I would take number 1 in 2024. It would be Kessner for sure. That's an easy one.
Yo, you want to go ginormous brain? You actually take him this year because he's going to suck at drafting. He's going to pull a U and, like, blow all of his high-end capital on garbage players.
The curse of the capital.
Yeah. That's funny. But Kessner manages so freaking well. I'm
The
terrified.
disrespect if someone actually did that. Like,
Can you imagine? Hey, Kessner, I want you number 1 overall. I know you have 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. Do I look worried? No.
no.
Kessler in 2024, though. He's probably going to get the
Every
pick,
other year
too, which is
checks
the
out.
stupid irony of it. Like, he'll be a division
Oh,
winner, and you're going to be like, pick me! Please.
Yeah, I'd probably take Kenner Bryn, TBH, unless, like, there's someone I'm missing that just has no draft capital, like maybe Santos.
Yeah. Justin?
I'd have fun playing against Santos.
I think I'm with no on that. I don't think I would. I'm hesitant to. I like Jacob's trajectory has been up. I think this year has been a significantly better year, even though like his draft wasn't super like. I mean, he had just had a ton of injuries, but like everything else has been spot on. I don't want to touch Santos. I mean, we've been here before this year. Worst team, and he's here.
He had no capital last year. Like, this year he had no capital. Look at him. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be Ken or Bryn.
I really hope that he is listening, Santos. If you're out there, listen in. Okay. That's fun. We should revisit that as a full-on mock draft. That would be hilarious. Moving on. Market 8. Mark is just
What's that a drop of?
big one, 4 spots. And the big ticket item here on Mark is that his shortcomings middle season is just going to kill him for playoffs. Like his record is going to bury him. Best he can finish is 7-7, which means he needs a lot of help across the field. His destiny is not in his hands. As much as his roster can win out, he needs people to lose, and you never want to be there. So, Mark, I've stood on a soapbox for you, but it's time to let you go, buddy. It's time. Dominate consolation. Listen here, man. You had a good run.
Not again.
I know that your quarterback sucked all year, but you tried, dang it. You tried. Better luck next time. No, you're not amused.
I'm amused. I mean, I feel like I said this earlier, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was like, yeah, I feel like Mark just always barely misses playoffs. And here we are again.
Yo, wait, Justin, can you pull up the manager rankings?
I
feel like
can.
Mark's high on the manager rankings.
I think he's like 5, if I remember correctly.
I thought he was 3rd a while ago.
Because I know it's me, you,
Last
and Noah.
year hurt him.
So he's 7. So it's you, Luke, then it's Noah, then it's me, then it's Kessler, then it's Santos, then it's Ken, then it's Mark.
Wow. I didn't hear Sam's name in there at all. Anyway, moving on. Moving on.
Oh,
Jacob
he's gonna rise.
Jacob at 7. He's climbing the boards, boys. This team is it's okay. It's actually not that bad. It's
5-game win streak.
5-game win
Attaboy.
So Najee's hurt. Don't know who's gonna play in this RB2 spot. I feel like he's finding a flex play every week. Like he picks somebody up off the waiver and shoves them in the lineup. How did Jake? Oh no, never mind. He didn't. Okay, I thought he got who got the Sam did. Zonovan Knight. Sorry, the RB
Sam
for the Jets. But Jacob's here trading away his best player and then hasn't looked back. Win.
I'm not going to say it's a thing, but it's kind of a thing for me and Jacob, since trading away Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson, we have not lost.
Kessler, where you at? Wait, hold on.
when I have the chance.
Kessler's record must be insane. Oh, well, that's not. That's okay. Yeah, that's crazy.
Insane.
Anyway, Jacob, keep doing you, man.
Playoff destiny is in your own hands. You win out, you are in.
No,
I think. I'm
in.
pretty sure.
No.
I'm pretty sure he's in.
If he wins out and I win out and Guy win out, which is all possible, then he's out.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Who needs me or Guy to drop one?
I can make that happen.
Yeah.
No, it's like, I'm here
Jacob.
for you, Jacob. He needs one of us to drop one because we both have points for by a lot on him.
Yeah.
So,
but he can get to 8 wins, which is
yeah, he can.
A great position to be in.
Tough matchup against Mark this week because Mark's team is still good as much as he's going to miss playoffs because of his record. And then plays Santos after. Oh, it's possible, but it'll be tough. I'm rooting for it, Jacob. As long as it's a Guy you're kicking out, not me. Speaking of, Guy's at 6, all right? And we've made it to the top 6, boys. And I think the big Guy, no change for Guy, but the big story developing for Guy is Jamar Chase has returned.
Finally.
Should be back in the lineup this week against a big game, in-division game against Noah. Receiver 2 is still a question mark for this team, and Fournette has fully and utterly been replaced. But Stevenson is a great RB2, and I guess tight end is real bad. But most of the league's tight end is real bad. Thoughts, boys?
I think he just needs one win, and I think that probably gets him to playoffs. because of his points for. I think he has the most points for right now, right?
Well, he's above me by 1 point. So,
Well,
he needs
because
to
like
outscore me.
it's not necessarily you he has to worry about because
It's me.
because right now both of you are in. So it's like Bryn, Jacob, Mark that he has to worry about, and he has points for well
Those are
over
both
like
top
over
six.
100 points advantage over all three of those people. So he would have to like lose out big.
He has to, if he loses one and Jacob
Lucas
wins
ranked
out,
ninth.
he's out. What's that?
Yeah, I guess if Jacob wins out,
Yeah.
then he would be out. But
Well, what do you mean? What did you mean when you said they're both in, Justin?
Me and Guy, as it stands, are both in playoffs.
You're ranked 9th.
I'm the 6th seed.
Why is there a 9 by your name?
Because technically Guy is the 6th. But as the tiebreakers work out the
but
seeding, I'm the
for the
6th seed.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Because you can't have... It's kind of
I
crazy.
don't know where you're seeing 9, Noah.
It shows...
the sleeper.
That's
No,
for
that's
waiver.
That's waiver.
Yeah, that's
priority.
waiver priority.
It's waivers.
Yeah. That little
Oh,
number.
why would I want to see waivers there?
Look at Mark, because it's next to the waiver budget.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Come on, Noah. No, but seriously. Guy and I both
okay.
here. Actually, I'll read the text off. Texting Guy, obviously, I beat him this week. Much needed. And he says, "Can't believe I'm still up on you by less than 2 points. We'll probably tie on record. So it's going to come down to points. Whoever the most will be in, and the other will be regulated to consolation bracket." And I said, "I think we're both in as long as we both win out. Destiny is in our hands. Let's make our division proud." And as it stands, that's how it rolls. We have the game up on the rest of the league except for Jacob. And so as long as we keep winning, which is definitely possible, we do have the weaker half of the division to go. Guy and I were the tough matchup, and luckily I was able to squeak out a win there. We were both trying to lose that game. It was terrible. But my team tried less. Wait, it tried more. It tried less to lose and more at winning. It was
Yeah, I think they
Fine.
just tried
Moving on.
less to lose. So they weren't trying to win necessarily.
they weren't really, but they just lazed out. Speaking of me, I'm at 5. I don't care about me. Okay, let's talk about the top 4. These are the heavy hitters. You know, the teams that have a plus 500, over 500 record. Only 4 teams in the league. Let's let that sink in a little bit. Okay, only 4 teams in the league are above 500. Okay, and at 4, possibly being disrespected, even though it's a 3-spot jump for him. It's Santos. Noah, you have Santos at 1. Justin and I are a little bit skittish on this team. Tell us why we're wrong.
Because of destiny. there's fate at work here. Santos is gonna break the curse of buying players and losing the final. He bought players. He's gonna win the final this year.
Santos for the win.
And Santos for the win.
To become the fourth manager with 2?
You don't need running backs. Don't need them.
What?
Well, he doesn't have them, so
Yeah.
checks out.
This is true. He doesn't.
Fantasy
He doesn't have a
meta
lot
has
of
changed.
players.
It's just about receivers now.
Literally, Diggs and Jefferson and Allen is the team,
Yeah.
and it's enough.
Don't forget about Tyler Bass, who can put up 20 plus.
Tyler Bass beat me. It was so stupid. It was so dumb. It's
23
22 points or whatever.
23.
23 points. I lost by 6. Dumb. Ah. Ah.
It wasn't Tyler Bass that beat you. It was Allen Robinson. Don't forget that.
Yo, I was during that week, Allen Robinson catches the touchdown, and at that point, he had 1 for 2 for 1 touchdown and 1 yard. I was like, you son of a. And then he went on IR the next day. It's so dumb. Oh, man. Sanders at 4. Yeah, I mean, the core players can get in there. He's going to have a bye, which is huge. And as it stands right now, he does have the harder matchup coming out of the bye. He'll have to play Justin or Josh. And then if Justin overtakes Sam for the 2 seed. And then he'll have to play Sam or Josh, which is still the worst of the bunch coming out of the
He's going to face a Kobayashi. He just
the
doesn't know
wild
which
card.
one.
Yeah, one of the 3 Kobes. It is decided. But he has a good chance of winning it all. Definitely getting the championship. Getting that first round bye is huge. And I will say that of the teams other than Guy left, I think Santos is the one that I would rather face the most, just because of the weaknesses. Like, you can kind of count on if his big players don't have a big game, the rest of the roster won't carry, you know? So, like, if you're hoping for a weak game, that's the one to find. But Santos at 4, climbing the rankings, and like you said earlier, Justin, we had Santos at 12 to start the year. And now he is 9-3, and
Could be the 1 seed.
could be the 1 seed. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Oh my gosh.
I have
All right.
a feeling we have a new number 1 this week. Let's see if I'm right.
We do. We'll get there. At number 3, Josh, my man, you're welcome. You know, Noah and I took a look at the rankings, realized you didn't want to be 1, and so we did what was necessary. And so we made sure that you weren't there. So, has a team that could be 1, but want to dodge
he
any
beat Sam, right?
big win over Sam. Yep, big win
Yep,
over Sam.
it's true.
Sam didn't have the best game, but
Did he drop a spot or was he 3 last week?
Josh is down 1.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was 2. That's a good point. Josh is down 1, but still not number 1. That's important to Josh. Josh wants to stay under the radar, and so we're trying to look out for the good doctor. So
Just sneak into play. What are his playoff hopes?
very, very strong. He currently is the points leader, which is huge. But we can
In his
talk more
division?
about. No, he's
Overall?
Sam's got overall. Yeah, points leader.
Wow.
He's just 2 games back from Sam. So there is and he beat Sam. So there is this weird like scenario where Justin and Sam lose out, and then Josh wins out and takes the division and gets the bye. But
Except that me and Sam face each other this week, so that's not possible.
oh yeah, that doesn't happen. That can't happen. And they both
One of us has to win.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could tie.
Oh my gosh, that would be wild. That'd be crazy.
Well, even in that scenario, I don't think Josh could take it.
Mm-hmm. But he should be in playoffs. Should. It would take something catastrophic.
The scenario is
He loses out and he scores poorly.
he loses out and Jacob wins out. That's the scenario.
Yeah.
Which that would be hilarious.
Well, and Jacob also would have to outscore him.
No, he
Like-
wouldn't.
Oh, because he's only down 1 game. You're right.
Yeah.
There's no shot. But that would be kind of wild. That'd be kind of fun. I'm
That'd be
rooting for that
hilarious.
outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think the biggest question mark for Josh is running back, but like Noah said, I guess you don't need running backs, right? Who cares about them?
Yeah, who cares?
If your receivers are so dang Adams, Hopkins deliciousness. At 2, we have a new number 2, dropped from the top spot at Sam after the tough loss to Josh. I still believe in the team. I think the team's good. Mike Williams coming back will be very strong. Don't know what's up, you guys. What's up with the Buccaneers offense?
The subreddit says it's bad coaching. I don't know if that's true or not.
Really?
Yeah.
But isn't like the same coaching staff? Like I know,
No Arians.
I know no Arians, but like it was all like they're all his guys. Like they all were working together before Arians retired.
Coaching matters.
Retired or forced out? It's a conspiracy.
But was he though? Like what? Because he
I don't
still
know.
works for the Buccaneers. Like he's like a upper
Management type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's like a totem title. I think he's just kind of like relaxing in his
he's-
house.
Not retired.
Yeah, but he is retired from coaching. You know, it's like this weird. I'm out of football, but still work for the Buccaneers. You know how 7-year-old coaches get. I was expecting.
I don't know.
That one. Anyway, yeah. So I guess Mike Evans is a big question mark. And then, like, when the Dolphins are winning by so much that they pull their starters in the third quarter, I suppose, you know, Tua and
Josh
Waddle
is so happy about that.
can't really go off if they just stop playing football after 3 quarters. But that's not that, you know, you don't play Houston every week, you know, that's which is so funny, like the juicy matchup, like, oh, we have the juicy matchup in Houston, and it's like, we don't need you. I expect much bigger things over the next couple weeks for against San Fran, the Chargers, Buffalo, Green Bay. This should all be games that the Dolphins starters stay in the entire time. And Dalton Schultz has been a big surprise. After Dak has come back, 7, 10, 14, 3, obviously bad game, 17. Really great numbers from the tight end position, kind of sneakily, I think, becoming the third best tight end in the league.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
is
a big
there-
boost for his team.
I don't think there's another tight end out there that I would like consistently rather have. Josh has a good one. Hawkinson has been good since the trade as well. 11,
Yeah.
8, 5 is, you know, was a weird day. The Dallas game was weird. I'm 12, so consistent there as well. Yeah. So there you have it. Okay, and at number 1, it's Justin. Justin from the Ashes.
He who controls the soundboard.
He does have control of the soundboard. Won
From
the
1
league
and
last
3. From 1 and 3.
That's
True.
impressive.
Won the league last year. Had an entirely put together draft capital. Botched his draft. Has done a magician's act in
I
trading.
don't know
and
if I'd say botched.
the draft was okay. It was.
I
alright.
mean, there's still most of the guys on this team are from my draft, so
Anyway, you've risen from the ashes, my friend. We had you at 3 to start the year. Wow, I didn't realize we had you so high. But then you did kind of
expectations were high.
tank down to 9 as your low point.
Yep.
But you have climbed back to the top, my friend, and you are here to stay, in your opinion, or your hope anyway.
That's my hope.
And I think, I mean, the roster's good, obviously, but Travis Kelce and Travis Kelce is just such a difference maker, in my opinion. Like, the roster is solid all the way around. Mixon, Etienne, Patterson, you know, you're going to find 2 to start there. Godwin, Higgins, Metcalf, Smith, you'll find 2 to start there. You'll find your flex easily. And then Herbert or Fields. I mean, Herbert, like you said, Justin, had a really good game this last week. You did call that out. I love how Justin is relying on the pair of Justins to command his team.
Justin's got to stick together.
Yeah, Team Justin.
Yeah, Team Justin. Maybe I'll change my team name. Just Team Justin.
Yeah, something along those lines. Tres Amigos or something. But, yeah. And, I mean, I'm just rambling now. Noah?
I think it's deserved. 8-4, so only 1 game back from the leaders. But it's been rolling. So if you're going off of trajectories or expected manager strength or strength of roster, it's a worthy one.
Absolutely. And huge game against
despite,
Sam.
you know, maybe being unlikely to secure a bye, it's still worth being the number 1 team.
If I win this week, there's
definitely possible.
good shot.
Maybe unlikely is just why I said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's for sure Sam has the inside track, but if I win this week, I get Josh with some players on bye the next week. The path is there.
Yeah.
For sure. And we're going to talk playoff predictions here in just a minute with our special guest as he arrives shortly. But I want to talk to you guys real quick about Fab and how it relates to the post year. So we've had our rankings. I'll just run through them real quick, real fast. Justin 1, Sam 2, Josh 3, Santos 4, me at 5, Guy at 6, Jacob at 7, Mark 8, Bryn 9, Noah 10, Kessler at 11, and Ken at 12. And looking at the Fab totals going into the postseason here, we're only a couple weeks out. The person with the highest number of Fab is Ken at 31. I'm sorry, it's Bryn at 38. I misspoke. And the lowest is Jacob with 0. But, you know, hypothetically, you guys both have waiver or different Fab numbers. What is a number that you would feel comfortable with going into the postseason with? You know, regardless of what you have now. In an ideal world, how much Fab would you be hoping to have going into postseason, you know, with that maybe I need to go splash and pick up a defense I really need, or there's a breakout backup that could change the postseason. You know what I mean? This is our first year with Fab, and I was something, I considered when I made my big purchase onto Foreman. I haven't spent a Fab dollar since because, in my opinion, I wanted to have $10 going into postseason for whatever. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on it.
In an ideal world, I would have had 22, which is what I had before I dropped Josh Palmer and then had to spend 11
to go
pick
get
him
him
back up. Or 10. I think it was 10. Yeah, that was rough. Yeah, I think that ideally, but I'm happy with where I'm at. At $11 to $21 range to me is, I think, is nice to be in. Because I think you can probably just straight up buy a player
if you need
to if you have 10 or 11.
If you think about 100 divided by 17, which is the number of weeks, you'd be spending 8 Fab a week, or no, 6 Fab a week. So that would leave you with roughly 17 for the final 4 weeks. I would want to have a little bit more than that. I think 20 is probably the sweet spot, just for you never know what's going to happen in playoffs. Maybe you need to spend money to, maybe your team is stacked, but you want to spend up to block someone else.
Yeah,
that's a legitimate concern. So yeah, I would say around 20 would be ideal. I think I'm below that now, but yeah, 20 would be perfect.
Yeah, not that we can all hold on to the exact number, but it's something to think about, especially as we've been learning our league's tendencies and what they've been spending on. I know positionally, I really hope that somehow I'll be able to look at by position what was spent, because I think that would be really interesting. If I know that quarterback, I feel like quarterback has been the biggest spenders. Back in my brain, I can remember 5 or 6 quarterbacks going for 20 plus. We've had a couple RBs go for above 30, but the number is much smaller as opposed to a quarterback trying to be, stake a claim as that's my guy, even when the Carson Wentz's of the world don't pan out. So I'm always curious to see that, because then trying to accrue or apply that logic or that information to postseason. Let's say you do need a quarterback all of a sudden, or you do need a tight end all of a sudden. What can you spend? Or are you just going to shove full Monty as soon as a hole opens up? I think it'll be really interesting to see. And I'm also really interested to see how non-playoff teams, I'm not, Noah brought up a really good point about blocking. I guarantee you Kessner, who might have 0 cash at this point, he has $5. We'll use those $5 to try to stop someone from picking somebody up. And so seeing kind of that
He's trying
dynamic,
to win the consolation, don't want to be last. So people are going to be spending during the playoffs,
right? And so seeing that dynamic play out, I'm really curious about it. And we've seen a tail off of that being spent over the last couple of weeks. 10 waiver claims this week, and 6 of them were for 0. So this is something to think about.
Definitely.
Okay.
Who are some playoff bound teams who have no Fab? Are there any?
Jacob, if he makes it, literally has none.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Santos doesn't have a
4.
lot. Yeah, he has very little.
He has $4.
$4. That's a little bit risky,
especially with his team makeup. But some of these bigger decisions early in the season, like the Michael Gallup, or when I grabbed Jalen Warren for way too much money. But then other moves, I spent a draft pick and Fab to go get Pacheco.
Allen Robinson? Oh no, that was me.
I spent a draft pick and Fab to go get a Pacheco, and that's worked out really well.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have that player now than the Fab going into postseason. So, very
all those $8 transactions don't seem like much until you're
right
looking at playoffs
right.
with $8.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's it's only 9, it's only 7, I only have 5 left. What happened to my delicious budget here?
You also got to remember that the earlier in the season you spend your Fab, the more value you get. So it's I spent a lot more at the beginning of the season and slowly tapered by spending as we got closer, because I'm just getting less value because you get less weeks out of a player. So that's also something to remember.
And in theory, the crop of players on the waiver wire does get less talented. It's very rare that a Foreman-like player who's like guaranteed or seemingly guaranteed mass amount of touches appears randomly. Like mostly those guys are already picked up. The Khalil Herberts, the AJ Dillons, the ones that are like Alexander Madison has been on our roster all year, waiting for the Cook injury. And so generally those guys are taken. But like even
still
now,
rostered?
Madison is he's still on Guy's team. I mean, the Guy started Jahan Dotson against me last week, and then he complained about there was a goose on his team. There were 3 gooses on your team, Guy. Go pick up people off the waiver wire, man. Don't complain. It was terrible. I know that you want to hold Jahan Dotson because of keeper value. I get that. So go drop some of these like garbage, like Madison.
I don't know why you're
anyway.
keeping Jahan Dotson.
I'm just saying. Well, he's a Commanders fan,
Okay, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and you kind of hope if they get a QB. He showed some potential at the beginning of the season. Anyway. But like, even looking at the waiver pickups this week, Jordan Mason got scooped up, who is maybe the backup to Christian McCaffrey, who could potentially fill some of the Elijah Mitchell role. That guy's rostered. It's like these players who like we're hoping to just soak up a couple fantasy points out of them, and maybe there's a potential that they'll have a big game at some point. I mean, the Rams receivers are a great showcase of this. Allen Robinson gets picked up. That's a good game. Is hurt. Skoranek just got dropped for Van Jefferson. It's like, just decide on one. Pick one. Hopefully they turn into, 3 for 72 and a touchdown with a big game. But yeah, I think that I'm with you, Justin, with the value of being, I think just the talent pool goes down. The players are less valuable. And, longevity of season as well. I think we're going to start to see more decisions made on like future, like I know personally I have the Steelers defense because I believe that they have a couple playoff matchups that are very good, even though I wasn't really excited to play them this week. So like we're seeing those decisions being made too, of like trying to organize yourself in a way that you'll be performing best. Speaking of organizing yourself in a way that you're performing best, the illustrious
there he is.
Mr. DeBarros has arrived.
Evening. Oh, applause.
All right,
Please,
we're swapping
not at this
hosts.
time.
Noah, we love you.
Brad loves you, Santos.
Noah, go sleep.
How's it going?
Oh, it's much better now. You just missed me filibustering on FAP for a little bit.
Oh, excellent.
But we're
Killing
here.
time until I got home from small group. Excellent.
Exactly. If I could do anything well, boys, it's I could talk for a long time. But here we are. We have Santos. Santos posted a phenomenal doc in the playoff or the group chat. If you guys haven't taken a look at it, please do. Some really great commentary, some really great insight. And so as soon as he posted it, I read the first 2 blurbs and literally texted Santos seconds later and said, "Hey, what are you doing, man? I got to get you on. I got to get you to talk about this work you've done." And so we were kind of fringe talking about playoff chances, but we want to hear your take. Just fire away.
Yeah. So, I mean, the tough thing about playoff scenarios still is that the middle of the pack is so tight. Because I was like, okay, we've got a 7-5 team, and then 3 6-6 teams. Then you've got Bryn and Noah hanging out at 5. Oh, and Mark all at like 5 and 7. So I was just like, I'm not going to bother with all the permutations because really it's going to come down to week 14. But I'm at least going to give like a taste to everybody of like, okay, here's what different folks are looking for, who they're rooting against, what they need to really get the spots that they want. So like for basically the way playoffs are looking right now is there's 3 teams that are in contention for the bye, and it's me, Justin, and Sam. And the Sam Justin one is the most interesting to me because Sam's at 9-3, Justin at 8-4. They play each other this week. And then Sam's got Bryn at 5-7, and Justin has Josh at 7-5. Justin, I believe, has I think I said he's tied for toughest remaining strength of schedule at this point. If you're just counting like
Sam and Josh is a rough.
I only went for record. I didn't look at points for, which is probably a better way of determining toughest remaining strength of schedule. So there's that. I just kept it simple with record. But I did put some predictions in here, obviously. I feel like, Justin, your roster has just come such a long way that I do think you'll be able to leapfrog Sam for that bye. I have you winning out. And actually, because of that, because of the way I predicted myself, I have you actually leaping all the way up to the first seed. Not that the first seed really changes a ton, because the bracket doesn't reset or anything, I don't believe. Mm-hmm. But I do have you getting the division and the bye at this point, because I have you beating Sam, and I have you beating Josh, and obviously Sam would lose to you. And even if he beats Bryn, you guys are tied at 10-4. I think you just have the points for advantage already, and you should be
100 up right now.
Yeah, you should be fine to clutch it out. So as long as you can just tie Sam, you should be fine. And then in terms of me, I have myself beating Ken, no real surprise there, and losing to Jacob. And I have myself losing to Jacob because half my team is on bye in week 14. If you look at 14.
Oh my god!
I have Montgomery's on bye.
Oh my gosh.
Drake London's on bye. The Commanders are on bye, so I have no Robinson or Gibson to play. I'm gonna have to find I have to find an RB4
Jacob
to play my spot. So Jacob actually has a legit shot at playoffs, because I am pretty sure I will, unless now of course Allen, Diggs, Jefferson,
Allen, Diggs, and Jefferson
could all go off and he busters out, and this all flops, right? But Jacob has a legitimate shot at going 7-7.
He has Pollard at Houston that week.
Yeah. And that boy's going to eat. Yeah. Now, it's interesting because even with this, I and we'll get into this in a minute, I still don't have Jacob making playoffs, but hats off to him for doing way better than I think anyone predicted, especially after he started selling the team. So, that's kind of where we're at in terms of the top three in terms of record. I don't really know what you guys did for rankings this week.
This is the fun part. So you missed out on the rankings. I'll break them to you now.
Sure.
We have Justin at 1.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. That's where I would have him at
1. We have Sam at 2, Josh at 3, and you at 4. That's the top 4.
Yeah.
And with your predictions outlined, the bracket does change slightly. Sam, the Kobayashi Triumvirate becomes one half of the bracket. So
yes.
We are forced, if it plays out the way you have it, we are forced to get a Kobayashi in the final, which is
my worst nightmare.
Which is pretty fun.
It is
pretty
fun. It is fun.
At that point, though, if that happens, I am rooting for Sam 1,000% because he's the only Kobayashi that only has one ring. So if we get a Josh Justin in the final, there's a chance someone gets to 3 before I have 2.
No three-peats allowed. Yeah.
Not today, or not this year anyway.
Yeah.
So that would be hilarious and also rather fascinating to have a Kobayashi half the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But then that also bumps you down, and you kind of get the cupcake in theory. Divisional round. So let me ask you this, Santos.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna, it would be pretty easy for you to throw to get to the 2 seed. Just gotta sneak into. Oh no! Sam or Justin beat me out.
Oh no!
Darn it!
Look, I do not believe in throwing. I'm firmly
You're just
anti-throw. Look, in the same way that Pete Rose should never be allowed, near a baseball ever again, I also believe that cheaters do not prosper. Look, I think, as it is, barring something shocking, I should beat Ken. I legitimately think there's a chance I lose to Jacob, But
Yeah,
I could
I mean,
also
I
easily
agree with
finish
you.
out the season 11-3
Yeah.
because he doesn't really have like he's got some good guys, but like he's been kind of boom or bust as well. So it'll be really interesting come week 14 what happens there. I'm already looking ahead to that. I'm not even really looking at this week. But
I mean, the Bills get the Jets
yeah,
that week as well, which
It-
is not
it-
a great matchup.
yeah. Vikings get Detroit though, which could be
That should
fun.
be delicious. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So I think the most interesting part, obviously, though, is like spots
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6, and it's interesting because
Well,
Josh
3.
should get in.
3, 5, and 6.
Yeah, 3, 5, and
Yeah,
6.
3, 5, and 6. Yeah.
Because Josh-
4's been unlocked.
Josh will probably get. Well, I believe the way I had it is because if Justin gets division, Sam would get 4th, and Josh falls to 5th.
Right.
And then, which is an interesting conversation all on its own from 1st to 5th, just 1st to 4th, just like that. For Josh, though, all he needs is a win and a loss from any of Guy, Luke, or Jacob, and he gets into playoffs. 2 wins does make things interesting in terms of actually like the division race, ultimately. And also seeding, if he wants to push for that 4th seed. However, like let's say he loses both, and all of a sudden, things get weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Legitimately 7-7. There will be, I believe, at least one, maybe 2 7-7 teams
Yep.
that do not make playoffs.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I think 8 is probably the magic number
Yeah.
to make
That's what
it
we've
in.
been saying all season long. You get to 8, and you're pretty good.
Yeah. And then a lot of this also comes down to the Guy Luke divisional situation, which I guess we can get into a little bit because Guy holds a 1-point lead in the points for. So this is as close as you can get. And you guys played each other last week.
Did. I made up a ton of ground in the
Right.
points 4 category last week.
Right. And so you both play Kessner and Noah. Right now, though, I mean, and this is where like the predictions come into play. Like right now, I have Guy winning out, and Luke, I have you beating Kessner and losing to Noah. Interestingly enough, because I just do. But I think I still have you because your points 4 are so big.
Yeah, I have a lot of
I
points 4.
have you as the 6th seed right now. But it's all like, and it's just so interesting because both of you are 6-6. Jacob Hughes 6-6, and then who knows? Like, I don't think it'll happen, but Bryn could win out. Mark could win out. I think Mark should win out anyway. He should beat
Yeah,
Jacob,
he should.
and he should beat Ken. So Mark, if he's not in, if he doesn't somehow sneak into playoffs, like Mark will absolutely get 1st seed in the consolation bracket.
And you should just want to tear.
Yeah. And yeah, if he had not lost to me, Mark would be in a much better spot going into this.
Me too, you jerk.
Yeah, so I think in terms of who should make it, it should be you, Luke. But, there's a weird world where players just don't perform. And, like, if we're looking at, like, recent... Like, you had 92 points in Week 12, and then 96 in 11. Like, in the last 3 weeks, and then you had a 105. So, like, you're pretty solidly in that 9,500 range, which I think this year has been pretty safe for...
I've had a good floor.
Yeah,
the whole
pretty safe for getting the dub, unless
Right.
the other team booms.
year. Josh and Tim.
Yeah. So you should be fine. But yeah, I think it's going to be the case where, like, there's going to be 3 7-7 teams, and 2 of them don't make playoffs, which is just, like, wild. as it always
Yeah.
is. I don't know. Is there anything that you guys want me to specifically speak to here, or
No,
any
I think
thoughts that
you
you guys
played
had?
it out really well. We did kind of briefly kind of skirt some of this stuff. I think what I want to hear from you is forget about your predictions for a
Yeah.
second. And what is the ideal outcome? The 6 teams that make it, the seeding for you, where you're at.
Yeah.
What would you like to have happen? Even if it's not practical.
Man, the problem is I don't want to face any of you in playoffs. I don't know. If there was a weird world where like I was able to face Guy, like I think the world where the Kobayashis are on one side of the bracket, and then
I think that's what
I
everybody
play,
wants.
Yeah,
and then I
go kill each
play
other. That would be
you
good.
or Guy, Luke.
Yeah.
I think is the best, because if I have to go up against, if it's Justin versus Josh in the first round, like Justin should win that, right? Well, I don't know. Josh could win that too. Either way, if I have to go up against Justin or Josh in the second round, I probably lose. If I can go up against you or Guy in second round, I think I have a much better shot.
Well, the funny thing is, I would rather play you than any of those 3. So
well, yeah, no, and I think that's
kinda works
no, and I think that's exactly what you should want. I think the Kobayashis are just like the strongest section of the playoff bracket right now. But it's fantasy; anything can happen. But yeah, right now for me, it's pray that my side of the bracket is the Guy Luke side and not the Kobayashi side. So
Justin, what about you? Are you desperately trying to get to one? I mean, the bye is important.
Yeah.
The bye is huge. Everyone
Yeah.
wants the bye. I get that. But afterwards, who are you hoping to come out on? You want to be the 2? You want to be the
I've
1?
locked the bye, right?
I don't.
Yeah, because you're gonna win
I've
the division.
Yeah, I've locked the bye. Yeah.
My perspective, I'm not too. I don't really care. I don't. It's gonna look different by the time we get to.
I'll
week
beat
15.
anybody.
I don't care.
I don't
Face your
care.
opponent. I don't care.
I don't care who they are.
I'm going to put up my 140 and go home.
I mean, 2 weeks. Things could be radically different. Injuries could happen. You just don't know. I'm not. To me, it's very simple. Just try and get the bye, and then if I don't, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think the team for sure that I'm most scared of is Josh's. He's averaging over 120 over the last 5 weeks, and he's the second most consistent team. I think the most consistent, oddly enough, which I do think this is interesting, is Kessner. He has been the most consistent in the past 5 weeks. So I think he could play spoiler because you have to bring over 100, otherwise you're going to lose to him.
His team has some good players on it.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the matchups today. Walker, Jeff Wilson's been great. St. Brown.
Yeah.
He's
set up really nice for next year for sure.
Mark my words. He's gonna beat either of you. I think.
He's going to beat one of us at least.
Yeah, I think one of you
know?
at least, if not both.
Or me and Guy.
So I think I'm most concerned about Josh. I think after that, I would probably want to play Sam. Maybe Sam is averaging less points for than you, Santos, over the past 5 weeks. So I think I'd rather play Sam.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that's kind of the way I see it right now. But I'm not. Things are going to change, so we'll see what happens. I'm just trying to get the
you
bye.
guys are disappointing. I mean, it's pragmatic answer by Justin, but I think the perfect world is that Jacob gets into the 6th seed.
Oh,
And
I mean, it would be brilliant.
yeah,
It
and
would
so me as the 3 seed plays Jacob, and then that way, if I lose, which I wouldn't want to, but if I lose, then I have a true hero to root for,
Yeah.
oh yes, that would be
and he would
amazing.
have hopefully the best matchup against Santos.
Yeah.
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Jacob clawing his way to the final with that roster
Yeah.
and that many first round draft picks?
I take it back.
Oh.
I need Guy to lose out, Jacob to beat me in like the final week,
So there's a
and
scenario.
Luke,
Santos,
you need to win out, and then it's like 8-6 Luke, 7-7 Jacob,
Oh, it would be so
or even
rich.
8-6 Jacob, and then Jacob sneaks in at 6.
Well, so there's a scenario, Santos, that we talked about earlier on in the pod. If Jacob wins out and Josh loses out, which is possible because
Very possible.
he has players on bye both of these next 2 weeks, and he faces me
Trinity
and
or no cupcakes.
which are no cupcakes.
Yeah.
Josh would not, and assuming that Luke and
Guy winning.
Guy win one game,
That's right. It's just one.
Josh would be out and Jacob would be in, which that would be just insane because Josh is probably, by all metrics, in my opinion, has been the best team.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he has the highest points for, so he's definitely. I noted that he's in a really good spot for tiebreakers with the highest points for. But yeah, I mean, he has to play you, so I mean, in my opinion, that's probably a loss. Bryn, he's probably gonna beat, but Bryn could go off.
just
Bryn
put
has
up over
Josh
120.
Jacobs.
Yeah.
He's a one-man team.
I think there's a crazy. Yeah, I definitely think there's a crazy world where, Josh goes 7-7. Yeah, and just something.
Josh Jacobs is the RB1.
I mean, like if you think about it, yeah, Josh loses out. Jacob Hughes somehow wins out, and both you and Guy win out. Luke, yeah, then he's donezo.
That would be so good.
Which would be crazy.
Oh, and the seating would be insane.
Oh, the seeding would be insane. Then I think that would end up being Jacob Hughes in 6.
Whoever
Luke,
wins
you'd
our
be
division.
5.
Yeah.
And
Either
then
me or Guy
whoever's
would slide
second
over.
in the Kobayashi division is 4.
Good lord.
So it'd be Guy versus Jacob, and then Luke versus a Kobayashi. And then do I then play?
Well, it could also be Luke and Guy just win one,
Yeah.
which means that Jacob would be the 5 seed.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine Jacob at 5? Like, and if he's listening to this right now, I really want to, like, hats off to him because he literally sold his team. Like, if you look at his, like, next year, he's got 2 first-rounders, 2 6th-rounders. He doesn't have a 4th-rounder. But he's, like, in a great draft spot. Plus, some of his keeper potential is crazy.
They line up with spare picks, too, so he's not losing draft capital.
Yeah.
Like,
and,
he set up his best keepers, all have double picks in those rounds.
Yeah. And
Very smart.
And he could still, like, make top 6. And even then, like, I think his team is in a position where he can make a run for consolation winner and just land a great draft spot. So
Yeah.
I'm actually almost more interested to see how consolation goes than actual playoffs because that fight for picks is so interesting.
I want to name Noah's team so bad. So bad.
It's gonna be Ken's though, so.
Yeah, Ken is rough.
Yeah, it's bad. Not good.
Though I will say his team is probably better than what we think it is. He's at -3 expected wins.
Oh,
So,
is it really? Wow,
yeah,
dang,
it's
that's
been a rough
tough.
season for him.
He has the worst points against by a lot. By like almost 100 on the next guy.
Man.
That's just brutal. Actually, it's over 100 by the next guy. That's brutal.
So you guys, I'm looking at your rankings. So you guys had me at 7 last week. What happened?
Well, it was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
To be fair,
Oh, that's right.
It
There
was
was no
2 weeks
show.
ago.
There was no show.
Yeah. So we do. Need
I was
to
on
update
a
this.
downturn. Yeah.
Yeah,
You,
and then
you would have
beat me.
gone up the
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have 100% gone up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rankings are kind of skewed, I guess, from that perspective. Because, like, Sam, like, took a dip here, but he had a big win the week before.
Yeah.
So, like, that would have been interesting. But anyway. All right, well, this is, as always, Santos. Lovely conversation. Love the
pleasure.
stock. Hopefully we see more of it as the weeks progress. We get
I
a little
will
update.
try to update it for next
Hubba,
week
hubba.
as well. Once we have okay, there's one game left, and the permutations are a lot easier to figure out. So
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
should be a lot easier to see the lines. But yeah, there you go. There you have it, boys. We ranked them all. We talked playoffs, and Noah went to bed. It's been fun. All right, bye bye now. Okay,
adios. See ya.
Bye bye.